And welcome for those people who have joined us as well. Now, we are recording this session. You probably see it in your screen. So we'll make this session available to anyone who couldn't attend at the last minute. And for those people who have attended. So certainly that's a good resource to go back on. So I think there's going to be a stack of information here from Lorinda. So I'll just go through a little bit of housekeeping and then we'll head straight across. I'm the Education Manager for Civil Survey Solutions, Civil Station Solutions. I'm guessing most of you already know us, which is fantastic. Thanks for supporting. We are an Autodesk authorised provider and trainer, and therefore we look after primarily the civil construction into Revit and also water engineering portfolio of Autodesk. Ben Hipsley, who's joined us on the call, is our business manager, national business manager, and engineer by background, and so perfectly placed to look after our clients in that sort of the technical sales role also. And we've also got Lorinda, the GeT channel manager. So Ben doesn't miss out. I'll let him jump in to say a few words, and then we'll pass to Lorinda.
Hi all, thank you, Matt. So look, as Matt said, Global eTraining is a platform that we've introduced to Civil Survey Solutions to really further assist our customers. Obviously, we love to make sure our customers are well and truly upskilled and trained and have plenty of services available for them. And Global eTraining is another fantastic resource that we now have available. So looking forward to seeing Lorinda run through some things today and show us all how it works. And I think Matt will cover this, but we will have the Q&A running as well. So I'll be jumping in there and answering any questions I can. Other than that, Lorinda can be answering them at the end as well. So I hope you all enjoy the next hour or so.
Absolutely. So yes, a bit of housekeeping. You're all placed into mute, and the session will be recorded. Q&A is available for you to type away whenever the need strikes. We'll try and answer that in the background or bring it to Lorinda's attention, and then respond to anything we need to take offline, and also allow you to have a copy of the recording. Now, I've put down here, all attendees qualify for a free trial of Get. So there you go. You've already won something for today. So I'll let you know how we can do that as well. So without further ado, this is a link that I would suggest if you can write down. Doesn't matter. We'll send it as part of the reply email. But this is where we host our GET landing page when it comes to understanding what a platform offers and what it does. There's also an e-commerce side of that. You can purchase straight away, or you can ring myself or Ben and talk about the options as well.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so let's start even by talking a little bit about who Global eTraining is for those of you that don't know us, and why we do things the way we do. And then also why we partnered with Civil Survey Solutions. So I'll expand a little bit on some of Ben's points earlier. So we have been in the industry for over 30 years. We have physical colleges up here in Canada. I am coming from the west coast of Canada over by Vancouver. And we have, like I said, originally, we're going back to the days of the big old drafting boards. We had a drafting college back then. It was about 15, 16 years ago now that we decided we wanted to augment what we were doing in class with online training. And so because we are instructors, we had very specific criteria that we were looking for when it came to an online program. We originally went looking in the market for that, and we couldn't find it. So we ended up creating it. And that is how Global eTraining was born. So, anything that that Global eTraining is now doing has far surpassed anything our physical colleges have done. We are in over 150 different countries around the world and in multiple languages. And we work with resellers around the world, Autodesk resellers and other software resellers, which is why we partner with Civil Survey Solutions. So a lot of the resellers we work with, the same kind of idea when they were looking for online training to go along with the software and services that they are providing to you. Rather than reinvent the wheel, they decided to partner with us. So I don't know if Ben, Matt, did you want to say anything more about that? I'm going to call on you guys throughout, by the way.
Oh, really?
I might do that, yeah.
No, that is fine. We have, and obviously you're an international company, hence the name. But this is not a new thing. We've been looking for technical resources for our clients for a while. We did go down the path of inventing our own and continuing to maintain that. That gets very hard to do. And you guys fit in extremely well with the content that we require. We also see it, and I know you've got a lot of advanced content, but we also see it as a fantastic base content to then come partner with and provide our personal, one-on-one or in-person training as well. So that connect all that leveraging works particularly well.
Perfect. Great. And then, so when I'm talking about, the criteria that we had when we were looking for a platform and then what we ended up creating, it's really centered around the learner experience. So as I'd mentioned, because we are instructors, our experience in the industry for over 30 years, and then the research in the industry, it tells us that not everybody learns the same way. So it's really important for us as instructors to be able to kind of address each individual in the way that they will best learn. Bob is not going to learn the same way that Sally does. So if we can address them as individuals, then they're going to be better able to absorb and retain that information and then put it into practice that much quicker, which ultimately is what we do want our staff doing, right? We want them to be able to put the knowledge of the learning into practice. We want them being productive and working on projects throughout the week, not spending all of their time in training. So our programs are really designed for that, for quick absorption and like I said, putting that into practice. What you're going to find when I'm saying that not everybody learns the same way is that there are multiple different learning styles. So our platform is very interactive. We follow what's called the VARK learning methodology. VARK stands for visual, audio, read, write, and kinesthetic. So you're going to see all of those different kind of assets throughout. So for those visual learners, you're going to see videos throughout. You're going to see images. Those are going to be screenshots or diagrams, kind of like you see over here on the screen. For the audio learners, everything is narrated. For the read-write learners, you're also going to see text throughout. And then for those kinesthetic learners, what you're going to find is a lot of things to touch and click and open. So we certainly do that for that kind of hands-on feeling, that interactive piece of it. But then we're also doing that to help you and your learners maintain focus. So it's not like you're just turning on, let's say, an hour-long lecture video, going up and getting a coffee and pretending that you were learning. You have to actually, or your staff do, have to interact with the platform in order to progress through your training. So we know that we're maintaining focus, we know that we're paying attention, and then of course being able to absorb that information. Other things that you will notice, we also have what we call learn mores and quick tips. Those are going to be a little bit of extra engagement content. So the learn mores would be like, let's say, a breakout session. So maybe we need a deeper definition of what a tool is used for. Maybe we need use case scenarios, that kind of thing. And then the quick tips, those are going to be obviously helpful hints, software shortcuts, and so on. Other things you will notice is we also do follow a closed loop methodology on the learning. So we're going to explain a concept. We're going to teach you how to do that or use the tool. Then we want to let you try it. So you're going to see practical exercises throughout as well. Those are going to also have all of the data sets included in both imperial and metric. And then we're also, again, wrapping that up. So letting you try it and then wrapping that up with assessments, so exams. So not only do we want you to build this wall, let's say, but we want you to be able to answer all of the questions and prove that you actually have learned how to do all of this. Some things also that you'll note down here, we have a couple different badges. So important to note about Global eTraining is we are an Autodesk authorized training center. We're an Autodesk authorized publisher, and we're actually even part of the Autodesk instructor certification program. Autodesk themselves use some of our training to recertify their own instructors. So for those reasons, you're going to see these badges down here. This first one identifies that it's a certification objective. So all of our courses, our Autodesk courses, are in alignment with Autodesk certification exams. So if you do have somebody that is looking to, let's say, become a Revit certified professional, anytime you see this badge, that means that's going to be on your exam. Make sure you know this stuff inside out and backwards. You're also going to see these stars, and in the menu, sometimes there'll be blue check marks. What that means is that it's new information. So we operate or we release our content on what we call a waterfall update basis. So there are certain products like, let's say, Revit or Construction Cloud that are changing constantly all the time. So it's important for us as instructors to be releasing content right alongside with any of those changes. So you're going to see these throughout as well. So this is new content, whether it be new content to the course or even new content sometimes from the last time you were here. Like you had looked at this topic, but it's changed now. Go back and check out what this says. Other things you'll notice, again, kind of for being able to customize the user experience, is we have different themes. So we have a dark theme and a light theme, and then there's also a classic theme and a dynamic theme. When I actually get into the platform, I'll be able to show you all of that as well. Other things that are important to note, as I mentioned, we are an authorized training center, and all of our courses are in alignment with Autodesk's objectives. So they're certainly designed for, let's say, a green learner. Maybe we've got somebody that's coming from AutoCAD into Revit, or somebody that's never touched Civil 3D, and you're wanting to learn the software from the ground up. Absolutely designed for that. However, having said that, I would say 80 to 90% of our staff are looking for training as a resource. So they're looking for that 5 minutes here or that 5 minutes there of information that they require to get back to work on their project. So maybe it's, hey, I'm stuck on working with surface layers, so I can literally jump straight to that section of the course. They're designed for that kind of flexibility. So this menu here actually drops down. And again, and I'll show you how that works, where you can jump around within the course itself. Then we get into the library itself. So we're talking a lot about Autodesk. Obviously, Autodesk is our bread and butter. We are an ATC, but we do recognize that you're not only using Autodesk in your day-to-day lives. So the product itself, our flagship product, is called the Get Everything Library. I make the joke that it's kind of like the Netflix of the training world for AEC. There are over 450 different courses on the platform, and there's more coming all the time. So like I said, we recognize you're not only using Autodesk, you're probably using Microsoft Office in your day-to-day life. You might be needing Bluebeam training or BIM theory training or lead training. We also have a number of other partnerships that have just launched. So we just have Esri content that has just launched. I've launched a partnership with the Reality Capture Network. So you're going to start to see a lot of other content in that arena coming out. So when it comes to, scanning and surveying and all of that, there's going to be content coming out in that vein. There's also going to be content coming out in programming and APS and API development and Forma and Fusion and Dynamo. So there's a lot, like I said, constantly growing. So when I was making the joke about Netflix, anytime content is added, you're just going to get immediate access to that. So you never have to be going back to Civil Survey Solutions and saying, hey, I need to add this to my contract. Hey, I need to add this to my contract. It will always be there for you. And then we get into our plugin. So the plugin is actually what takes, and I'm going to switch this to full screen now. So the plugin is a productivity tool. It actually drops the training right into the software. So rather than having to log out of your project and go log into the training platform and then do a search for whatever that it is that you're looking for, it will take the training right into your project. And it's interactive and intuitive. So whatever I'm selecting in the software itself, it's going to show me the training specifically related to that. So if I were, let's say, working on corridors, it would show me all the training about corridors. If I then moved on to layers, it would switch to showing me all the training about layers, kind of like you see it's doing here on the screen. It also has a search function. So just like you see it's doing layers, I can go and search specifically for the content that I'm looking for, rather than having to search through the different commands or select the commands. Couple things that are important to note about this. It's one small download. It's an MSI file that works for varying versions of the software. So it will work for all the different versions of AutoCAD with the exception of LT, the different versions of Revit, Civil 3D, Plant, Inventor, and Navisworks. And it's also backwards and forwards compatible, because we do recognize that our clients are, depending on your project demands, you could be working on different versions of the software to meet those. Other things that are important to note for those of you, I know some of you may be looking at doing custom content somewhere down in the future, maybe your own workflow training, that can also be housed in here. So when we are looking at that down the road, it can also be your own workflow training right in the software at your staff's fingertips. And then we get on to the back end. So the learning management system is where we're doing all the administration, or you will be doing the administration. That's where you're managing your users, where you're assigning content, moving them through the training programs. It is an extremely robust system. It captures everything when it comes to reporting from bird's eye view of the organization, right down to, what did Sally answer on this question of that quiz, and how many times did she write it, and how long did it take her, and so on and so forth. So for that reason, we've also created a lot of dashboards for you. No executive I've ever worked with wants to see thousands of spreadsheets. They want pretty charts and graphs. So we've created them all. And of course, these can all be drilled down into the plugin engagement and skills gap assessments. I haven't covered those yet, but I will when I get into the platform. So we'll cover literally your entire training program, really get you that kind of data-driven guidance to see how you're doing, to, see at quick glance where our trends are going. If we're seeing, let's say, people that are taking the same content over and over and over, maybe we have a knowledge gap there, and we need to actually address that with some additional training or some custom training. So a lot of data there for you to work with. And again, I will jump in and show this to you also. And then we get into the onboarding and implementation. So I know that some of you have been working with Matt so far already. I have an entire team that backs me up here as well. So I've got we will do, kind of the strategic implementation sessions with you, similar to what you have been doing with Matt so far. You'll get one-on-one time with our onboarding specialist, and then we'll be holding your hand every step of the way in conjunction with your team at Civil Survey Solutions. So we like a kind of a three-way team approach, if you will, and we'll be helping you out with, customer success throughout the entire time, account management, all of your help desk needs, all of your training needs. And then kind of why global eTraining. So I won't spend too much time on this because we're going to jump into some of the others, but kind of key highlights. So obviously being able to, this is going to do all sorts of weird things over here. Okay, so time-saving tools. So we want to increase our project efficiency. So being able to jump, like I was saying, straight to the information that you're looking for, and reduce the overall hours that you're spending training. The ability with those reports to track your data and your ROI, see how you're doing in those, to actually kind of gauge where, is your training affecting your productivity and your bottom line. The up-to-date content and technology, like I'd mentioned. One of the things that's also really important to note about that is that we here at Global eTraining take our client feedback very, very seriously. So if there's additional content or technology improvements you would like to see, I want to hear about those. That is, I work very closely with our development team in kind of taking all that feedback and putting into practice and creating things. So anytime there's stuff that you want to see, I want to know about it 100%. Attracting, onboarding, and retaining staff. I'll get into this a little bit with the assessment tools also, but the ability to actually take the training and onboard your staff effectively and in an automated fashion, and to be able to use, kind of gauge where their skills gaps are and have them hit the ground running. Obviously demonstrating skills competencies, so differentiating your team from competitors and winning more projects. Defining what your kind of metrics are, what your goals are. Some of the clients that I've worked with, for example, have decided that they want to actually use the platform to get everybody prepped for those certification exams, so that they can say, as their added value, hey, we have X number of certified Civil 3D professionals on staff, or that you're looking at, kind of the time that you can create, making it all of that more efficient for winning those project bids. And then, of course, driving software adoption, which is where we come into play with Civil Survey Solutions. They are bringing you all of that software. So we want to make sure that you are able to master the use of it, make sure that you are using it to its most effectiveness. Quite often what we find in this industry is that people know only about 20% of what the software can do out of the box. So the more that you can learn about tips and tricks on how to make your workflows more efficient, the more that you're mastering those software skills, the quicker you're going to be able to get those projects out the door and more efficiently and profitably. And then, of course, custom e-learning. I didn't touch on this too much, but this is something we can look at down the road for any of you that are looking at building custom e-learning. I won't have time to dive into that today, but do know that is available. There are platforms we also have that will allow you to create your own custom content, or take any of the content that we already have and restructure that to your own workflows. or the civil survey solutions can do that for you as well. And then I want to jump into the actual platform. So this is what the platform itself looks like when you first log in as an end user. So what you'll see is, obviously we have the dashboard here with a number of different tiles. I'm going to start with the Get Everything library. That's normally where you're going to go. I literally created a blank account so I could show you everything from the ground up. So what you're going to do is you click on the Get Everything library. You'll see that all of the content we have is sorted out into various folders by vendor to make it really easy to find. I can also search for specific content if I want, but I'm going to choose to jump into the Autodesk folder here. What you're going to find here as well is that things are broken up a little bit. So we do also keep previous version years. So I think we go back to 2018 off the top of my head. Again, kind of going to what I was saying about the plugin. If you do need previous versions, we do have those as well. But what you're going to find in the latest versions is that we are just building on these courses now. So as Autodesk switched to more of the kind of subscription model with their software, we've done the same thing with the training. So we're just adding all the new content to the same program. So going forward, this Civil 3D course, for example, will be the main course. We're not releasing a new course every year. We're just updating this constantly throughout the year instead. What you'll see is you see really quick, identifiers as to where I'm currently at. So if I wanted to, let's say, enroll in Civil 3D Advanced, I'm going to hit enroll. And then what you're going to see is that's going to change to start. So it'll tell me immediately, I have enrolled in this course, but I have not yet started it. Doing the same thing here. Then when I start it, when I come back, it's going to change to resume. If I finish this course, it would obviously say completed. But from there, I'm going to now go back to the dashboard rather than starting it. I could start it from here, but I want to focus on this tile here. So this My Courses tile, this is the one that you're going to jump to most often, because you're not going to want to sort through all of the different catalogs in order to find the training that you're looking for. So once you've enrolled, you now see, as you can see here, having a much smaller section of courses, just the ones that you're focused on. So you can jump straight into those. If I hit start here, so you can see on the Civil 3D course that this is a 50-hour course, and that it gives me the kind of outline, all the different topics that are going to be included, navigation tips. So if I am a beginner user, more intermediate or advanced, and then you're going to start to see some of what I was talking about that flexibility. And with those updates. So as I'd mentioned, we do update throughout the year on the different topics, but then we also do our yearly roundups as well. So you're going to see those at the top. So everything that was new in 2024, everything that was new in 2023. So if you're looking, if you are a more intermediate or advanced user, and that's exactly what you're looking for, is what's changing in the 2024 version, you can just come straight to this section. But then we get into, you'll also see these. So this one is Macer's Corner in, let's say, I think it's the Revit and AutoCAD versions. They're Mike's Corner. So these are our developers and, our Autodesk Expert Elites. These are their kind of tips and tricks series. So you'll see those throughout the courses too. So that's what Macer's Corner would be. It's all of Russ Nickloy is the particular developer we work with on Civil 3D. These are all his tips and tricks from his many years of experience. And then you'll see introduction. So I can start right from here if I'm a green learner, and I can go right into the course. But let's say I'm a little bit more intermediate or advanced. I know what Civil 3D is. I know how to open it. I know how to start a project. And I want to jump, let's say, maybe 2 surfaces. So I'm going to do exactly that. I'm going to jump straight to the section that I'm looking for. Now, everything does seem to slow down just a little bit when I am live streaming, as an FYI, so just bear with me. But here you're going to start to see some of that interactivity pieces that I was talking about. So here, obviously, just the learning objectives and outcomes. Navigation is really simple. I can either use next, or I can use the menu here. This menu, I can pin open or close. This is the one that I was saying wasn't open when I was on that former slide. But let's say I want to I'll just go jump next. And we're going to go into creating a surface. So now you're going to see all these different interactive pieces that I was talking about, right? So I want to look at, here's the image of this. Here is the practical exercise, or the video. So I can go and open the video. We also transcribe and closed caption most of it. So you'll be able to even just search through. Control F even works on here. So if I wanted to search for, let's say, space, you'll see that it can take me straight to the information that I'm looking for and see where that is in the video. What you'll notice though is, like I mentioned earlier, everything is done in bite-sized chunks. So everything is going to be in 5-minute or less increments, so that you don't have to be sitting there through an hour-long video and then kind of scrolling through the transcript. They're all designed for that kind of micro-learning field. Other things you'll see in here, so the different themes that I was talking about. So going from the dark to the light. I'm going to keep it on the dark though, because that does hurt my eyes. And then we're going to look at the different themes. So right now I'm in the classic theme where everything opens in pop-ups. I can also use the dynamic theme, where this will then create it all in one page. So if I wanted to, rather than having to click and open everything in pop-ups, I can see everything on one page. So this would be the let me try, the practical exercise, literally a step-by-step walkthrough, like I'd said, of everything that we've done in there. Other things that you're going to notice in here. So I'd mentioned that that badge. So this is a certification objective. So just so that you're seeing those. I had mentioned also those blue check marks. There isn't any in this particular course, but that's what you would see. Let's say if creating a surface I had viewed already, and then that had changed, this would be a blue check mark. So it would tell me the content has been updated since I last viewed it. Now in here, you'll see this plus sign. That means I can add this section to a bookmark, if you will, or a custom learning path. So when I click on that, and that's just going to take a second to render, but if I go into the custom learning path now, you'll see that I have added that. So bookmarked it to come back later. Everything that I have done, or that I've added in that particular regard, has that minus sign, or so I can remove that. Maybe I don't want to actually come back to adding to surfaces, but I still want to work with editing or whatever. You can see I've done that previously with others. So I can come back and do that. I can also filter. Maybe I only want to see the videos that are in this particular lesson. So I can go, I can see I've got a lesson on a video on creating surfaces, and then one on surfaces from them. So I can do either or there. And then the same thing with the practical exercises. So if I took that off and took the filter on, maybe I only want to see the different practical exercises, I can do that also. Okay, and then let's jump back into the course itself, or into the lesson plan. Now I'm going to show you what an exam looks like. So with the exams, they're going to be, because there is another way to fill out those custom learning paths. So with these exams, we are going to have they're going to be true and false, multiple choice, or select all that apply. And they will give you instant feedback as to how you're doing. So if I go and hit submit here, you can see I got that incorrect, and it's going to tell me. You may want to come back and review this section again. And if I just skip through this really quickly and fail this exam, I want to show you what happens. I'm doing really good at failing. Perfect. Okay. So as you can see here, I failed this exam. I really failed this exam. Passing mark was 70. And then this is the other thing I was talking about with that custom learning path. So now these following topics have been added to that custom learning path that I had shown you earlier. So other ways that you can kind of start to fill those out. The key difference will be where I was showing you earlier that I could remove anything from the custom learning path that I had added myself. These I will not be able to. I will have to go back and actually review those again in order to actually remove them from my learning path to make sure that we actually do understand what's going on there. Now I'll jump into the transcript or other little things here. So with the transcript, this is where we're going to see, now obviously there's not a whole lot I've got going on in here because I just created a new account to test. But you can see what courses I currently have that I'm enrolled in, what I've not started, what I have started, what I'm in progress on. If I had actually scored anything, you would see that there. Obviously, I got big fat 0. Completion date will show up here when you've completed that course. And above here, you'll actually see also any certificates that are achieved. So if I had finished the course and I achieved a certificate, that would show up here as well so that I could print that, download that, email it to my manager, whatever I need to do there. And I think that covers the majority of what I want to look at from this standpoint. A couple other things. Our help desk, just as an FYI, is managed by Autodesk certified instructors. So they are there to kind of help you even with specific software questions, supposing that it's not going to be workflow specific. Of course, you also have your, all of your friends over at Civil Survey Solutions with their help desk as well. And they would be local to you, so that might be a better idea. But then I do also have the plugin that I do want to pay attention to. So the plugin here, what you'll notice about this, if I click on it, it will send me right to the Autodesk App Store. Our plugin has been vetted and is on the App Store. Really, like I said, really easy, 5 meg download, really easy to install. This is going to be dependent on your company IT, though, whether or not they allow you to install this. Having said that, I've got a lot of IT organizations that I've worked with where they have gone in and put it up on the intranet as approved software, or even rolled it out in like software updates overnight. Okay, so from there, now what I want to do is take a quick look at the admin features. So we're going to jump into the admin side. You'll notice if you are an administrator, you can literally just toggle right back and forth. And from here, I've got, there's going to be dashboards that are going to start to be created for you. Some of them, I'm going to jump into some of the other ones as well, but these are going to be pretty basic. And then other places that you can go from within. So the course summary report, so same thing, you see they're all very similar layouts. I have all the additional data that I've got, right? What I always like to do on this one is start creating the filters that I'm looking for and then saving them. So the first filter I always like to see on a course summary report is enrolled is greater than 0, because there's no point in looking at all of this data of a whole bunch of zeros. So we want to see who is actually taking courses that are, who's actually taking courses. So how many are enrolled, how many have started, and so on and so forth. I prefer to actually do started instead of not started, so I can actually move those around. You'll see I can actually drag this to where I want it as well. So very similar to Excel, right? Where I actually want that over there, like I said, there. And then I can kind of do whatever I want from here. So now, if I want to filter, let's say I want to look at the total number, I want to see the most number of enrollments. So any of these I can filter, like I said, very similar to Excel. And then I can go and start saving these. So maybe I want to create this as a layout, and I'm going to say summary report. And then save that. And then I can also save that as my default. So every time I come back to this report, this would be the one that automatically shows up. I can also pin it. If I go and pin this report, you'll see this little pin popped up here. So when I click on that, all the different, wherever I'm at, I can have all these different reports. So if I wanted like a course summary report and a user's report and so on, I can go ahead and do any of those. I'm not going to spend too much time going into the rest of the reports, because then I would start showing customer data. And I'll just, speak at them at a high level, because I do also want to leave some time for Q&A. This far tile here is Get Insights. This is our knowledge gap assessment. These are all of the different things that you don't know. Oh, good. It actually took me to my personal account. So you can see here, I've got, I've scored 44% on this Revit architecture course. So, and what it's done now is it's given me a custom learning path based on the, what would that be, 56% of information that I don't know. So it's giving me basically half of the course. Here's all the things that you actually need to brush up on. So you can see, like, I obviously know how to open Revit. I know how to start a project. It didn't ask me to do that. I need to start with learning how to create floors, roofs, and ceilings. And then what it'll do too is it will go and you can see immediately which lessons with these green check marks I have actually gone and done. So I can see my kind of custom learning path progress. I've finished 27% of this particular exam. So this is also something that can be used in your hiring process, because those licenses can be reassigned, like we were talking about. So if you're having issues with hiring really proficient staff, to actually run them through a Civil 3D assessment, figure out where they're scoring. Maybe you've got a couple candidates and one scores 70 and one scores 40. Probably going to hire the one that scores 70. But then the minute you get them onboarded, they have this learning path to start with. They know exactly where they're going. And then on the back end, we're getting all of these kind of reports in here as well, where you'll see all of the different data. We can benchmark all of your different staff if you're assessing all of the staff. There's a lot that we can do. Data's king.
Now, Ben, did you want to come in at your point to talk about just how this is accessed, who's best to contact, maybe some availability, those sort of things?
I guess just look to talk about our experience with this platform. So we alluded to at the start of this call that as a business, Civil Survey Solutions, we had reviewed a few different options to be able to provide this sort of value to our customers. And look, we really felt like the Global eTraining platform was well and truly right up to speed in terms of the technical content. A lot of our technical guys went through it and did a bit of a reconciliation of it to make sure it was all good. Lorinda mentioned that we were in direct contact with the developer at the time, and there were one or two things that our guys talked back around pressure pipes and some other things. And within a matter of weeks or maybe a month or two, all of that content was up and ready for everybody around the world to use. So I guess that just backs up what Lorinda has said in terms of Global eTraining are very, very keen to be working with their customers on the types of content that they like to see. Another point that stuck out to me, Lorinda, you mentioned before, is that the typical engineer or designer only uses 20% of the functions in the software that they use, and I've heard that a number of other times, and I can really attest to that myself as well. As a designer for over 10 years, I thought I knew how to use this software very well. After getting on board with you guys, I started running it with the plugin, the Get to Know plugin, running, and it was amazing how many just little tips and tricks I picked up just from that. So look, it goes to show that there certainly is some good value to be gained by this. So look, if you are interested in exploring this more, simply let us know. It is very affordable. It's a little over $300 per annual subscription. So look, if you think you can get value out of that, we're certainly keen to talk to you and see how we can help you further. So I'll throw that back to I think yourself, Matt. You were talking before I jumped
yes,
in.
I think that is the webinar etiquette.
It's obviously an amazing platform, and I think everybody can see the benefits of it and the value in it. You might be thinking that, wow, it might be a lot of legwork getting the admin set up and looking at all the reporting and everything, but look, not to worry. Our business is well and truly set up to help support you in onboarding this platform for your business and making sure that you're seeing the best value that you can out of it. So look, what we are doing with customers is, as we've mentioned, it's all annual subscription based. And so, look, talk to us about how many users or learners you might need at any point in time. And look, every time we work this with customers, we do offer complimentary onboarding for them as well. So we can jump on with you for an hour or two at the start and really just walk you through everything down to, let us know exactly what types of projects and outcomes and everything you're looking for. And we can start recommending courses, even building some course outlines and learning pathways for you. And look, obviously, if you're looking at also from that HR perspective and looking at professional development or recruitment, then we can advise on a few things there as well. And so, look, we've, as a business, we've now been working with this for a couple of months, and look, we've had a couple of I guess, the common questions we get back from clients who are starting to use this program. So, Lorinda, I might just fire a few of them to you, because if other clients, are thinking these questions, then I'm sure any of potential, new users of this platform might be thinking the same. So Lorinda, we can all understand your accent is North American. So can you let us know about how it works in terms of imperial and metric course content?
Great question. So everything is built in both imperial and metric. So we obviously have imperial because we do have a bunch of American clients, but everybody else in the world is metric, like Canada's metric. Everywhere else in the world is metric. So we have everything in both.
Yeah, fantastic. And obviously I've mentioned that, our business is here to support, any users within this platform, but I can also see one of the, let's call it a vendor in the list there is GET onboarding courses. So that's, I guess, self-onboarding for this platform. Did you just want to have a quick click through there and I guess show everybody how they can help themselves get up to speed on this?
Absolutely. Yeah, actually, when you go into my courses, you'll find that you're already enrolled in it. So there's Get On Board for Learners. as an FYI, we also have a whole section of self-help onboarding as well. So not, as we mentioned, we will always do the one-on-one stuff with you, but if you want to just run through stuff yourself, there are PDF downloads, there are videos on how to access all the different products, how to add learners, how to, like go figure, we have online training on how to deliver online training. So there's all sorts of, whether it be for the learner or for the administrator, we have all sorts of assets and tools available for you.
That's
So
fantastic.
again, really kind of, yeah, go ahead.
Whilst we're doing pretty well for time, whilst you're on the dashboard, the additional content, so the certification, Revit 2, I know a lot of it is probably quite North American, but I think that concept is great.
In the premium stuff, sure. This one?
That's it.
Okay, yeah. So we have a couple other things here as well. So this is premium, extra paid content. So certainly as you just mentioned, like our OSHA training, that's not going to be relevant to you. But what it comes down to is this is content that, let's say, the site guys in the US have to have. They have to have that OSHA card. So it's something that I provide. I've gone and made an arrangements with that vendor so that if they're going to buy it anyway, they might as well have all of the training in the same place. So if there are, as an FYI, safety vendors or other vendors that you're looking for, where you want the training all in one place, let me know. I'll go and source those vendors for you. I'm happy to do that. So there's that safety. This iHasco would be the similar kind of stuff, but for the UK. We have a leadership and business skills series. There is 113 different courses in there. We have, and then the Revisto certification. So right now we have level 1. And then there's going to be another one coming out. I think there's more coming out as well. But yeah, so we have we are exclusively hosting all of the Revisto level 1 certifications that they've just come out with.
Yeah, no, that's great. And you mentioned before that your course, the Autodesk courses are, you can certify after completing them, but at this point, the exam is still within Autodesk. It's not something that's within GeT.
Yeah, the exam itself is something that has to be proctored. So certainly if you wanted to come to Canada, I can proctor that exam for you, but it can't be done online. So that's normally something you can do at either an ATC, or if you're going to like Autodesk University, they offer them free there. Having said that, I have heard rumbles that Autodesk is planning on moving that to an online proctored system. I haven't seen it yet though, but I'm going to check in with them because that's the second time I've been asked that today. On that kind of proctoring question. Having said that, also there have been organizations I've worked with where we've turned the corporate house into like a corporate ATC where they were allowed to proctor in-house. So that's always something that can, there's a lot of different ways that Autodesk sometimes is willing to work with us.
No, I understand. And then I guess just rounding off with the content that's particular of interest to our client. So you've mentioned Esri has come on board. There's a few course contents or modules there. You've got some Bentley, which is quite interesting. And
Bentley, actually, that's another one that I didn't mention. So that's one. Right now, we just have one microstation course, but we are currently in talks of with Bentley about bringing all of their content in house also. So, because I know we're getting a lot of requests for open roads, for example.
Understand.
And
Bluebeam.
And we do Bluebeam.
Yep. No, it's fantastic. So what we might end up doing is breaking some of this content into groups. The focus of today was Autodesk mainly, but whilst we've got this audience, of course, to show them that the Esris, the Bentleys, the Bluebeams, that's all included in the all you can eat.
Everything. Yeah, like I make the joke, it's like the Netflix of the AEC training world, right? So we'll give you more than what you need and take what you want. But then every time we add new content, it'll just immediately be added. So like the first Esri course came out, there's another one that's currently in development. It'll just show up one day. When all the reality capture content comes out, it'll just show up in a new library one day.
So we need to keep track. Now, I did send you a selfie of one of your authors, and two of our technical experts met up with Russ at AU.
Mhm.
I'm sure it was all work and no fun. But
It was so much work.
but maybe just a little bit more on who these authors are and where they get their sort of their content from, or the feedback they get and how that works.
Let's see if I don't know if I actually have a slide for that off the top of my head. I know
Oh,
I
that's
have
okay.
one somewhere, but where, I don't know. But so our authors are also, so we obviously, as I've mentioned, we have a school, so we do have some in-house authors. Our director of operations is an Autodesk certified instructor in, I think, Inventor and Revit, if I'm not mistaken. But then we also contract to expert elites throughout the world. So some of the top, the top guys that the experts in all of this different software. So Russ Nickloy with he does a lot of our civil and GIS stuff. We use Mike Thomas for a lot of our Revit and CAD stuff. We use Rebecca DeCiccio. She does a lot of our Revit and BIM stuff. She's like when she won BIM Personality of the Year 1 year award. She was sitting on the UK BIM Council. She's actually now in Australia. So we have probably 20-ish different experts that we work with all the time, and more coming on, like daily. I've just like I'd mentioned, started partnerships with 3 other firms on, bringing in new content.
No, that's great. No, fantastic. Because we've spoken, about we've got particular content that we would like to see there as well. But the users can be assured that it's current, it's being developed, as the program's developed. And as you said about the waterfall, I think as new features become embedded, then you'll have some content about that as well.
Yeah, well, and actually, even to that point, when we were at AU with Russ and your guys, they gave Russ feedback on some things that they wanted to see added to and changed in the course, and he did it right away. So that has already been rolled out, and that civil course has been updated. And he's given them, he took some feedback on some other things that they want to see. So our experts are constantly looking for that kind of feedback as well. So even if it's stuff that you're wanting to see within a specific course, when I went to Russ, for example, and said, I'm hearing, I want to hear, I'm hearing people want more advanced content. His response to me was, great. What does that mean? I can create thousands and thousands and thousands of hours. Tell me what topics they want and I'll go do it. Right. So the more, specific requests we give them, they love that, because they want to hear that you're enjoying their content, and they're always looking forward to building more. And so if they're, building something that you guys want to see, that drives them even further.
Who, in your experience, is using this as a manager? Is this a CAD manager? Is this a HR manager? And obviously, we look after small and large clients. So in some cases, they don't have those personnels. But I anecdotally find that there's a bit of a lack of CAD managers at the moment. So who sort of takes this role on?
I see that vary according to company. So depending on the company, let's say if it's HR, like you were mentioning, that would be when HR is responsible for the learning and development of the organization. They will take this on. Quite often, I do see it's the CAD manager, because they're wanting to track their own staff, because it's their proficiency that is leaning towards their projects, right? So it really depends. It can be different for every single organization. I've worked with everything from small niche architecture firms with like 2 or 3 staff, in which case it's usually the principal that is kind of assigning and taking a look, and maybe all the reports aren't as necessary in those cases. But then I've also worked with global multidisciplinary behemoth companies with 10,000 users, 60,000 users. In those cases, they're going to have multiple administrators, right? They'll have HR and learning development working on stuff. They'll have they'll have the CAD department working on stuff. So it'll completely depend on the needs of the organization. But it's really designed for that kind of flexibility. Whoever needs to have this access can have this access.
Oh, that's great. And I think that's where it will really pay off, when you get that overarching reviewing and drilling down. I mean, obviously, the first benefit is to the user, because they're learning skills to do their job better. So then learn, develop, deliver. From a management point of view, though, that's also a service or a platform they haven't had before.
Exactly. And it's important to be able to track all of this, for so many different reasons. We want to see what our staff are doing for training, because we want to be able to track their proficiency levels so that we can, let's say, assign content, or assign to projects, right? So we don't want to assign staff to projects that don't know how to do any of the project work. They don't have the skill set. So if we can actually see what training they've done, then we know whether, where we can be applying them to. On that note, I had mentioned some of the other reports as well. You're going to see every one of you would have access to this system as well, where we have all sorts of reports on the back end of this. And this is where we're using Zoho to create even more analytics. These were the pretty charts and graphs that I was talking about. Now, this is obviously my demo department, so I can show more stuff in here. But I can track how far I'm into my subscription, how many licenses I have, how many learners I've got enrolled, how many of them have actually consumed content, how many enrollments, the average number. We're getting a lot of data in here, the enrollments per month, my top courses. Then we're getting into consumption information, how much time has been spent. And we even do like trend graphs in here, so we can see, are we trending up, trending down? I think because this is my demo department, we're probably trending down when that comes in. And then even all of these can be, we can change the chart types, we can export this data, we can drill down in further, we can sort, we can, there's all sorts of, export any of this data and start working with it elsewhere if we need to. We can look at monthly analytics, we can set timelines. So there's all sorts of information in here that we can look at as well. There we go. Yeah, so there's my everything trending downwards in my demo department. So a lot of really good information in here also.
And look, it might just be that I'm following Lorinda and the Get people on LinkedIn. There's a lot of communication they put out there, and a lot of sort of specials and offers. So rest assured, we get those as well. So if you see something online that you think it's great, then we can help you out in Australian dollars and go that way.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, because the price is like we charge obviously in American dollars. They have done for you in Australian dollars, because that's easier for all of the Australian clients. We work in international currency everywhere. So that and that's one of the benefits of actually working with a reseller. Not only can they support you with your software and your consulting services, but they can support you with our products and in your local currency and local time zone.
I haven't seen any other questions pop through on the Q&A, which is fine. We'll send a follow-up email. Happy to take your questions offline or via email on there. We'll get you the recording and look forward to working with all the attendees here individually and seeing that we can assist. There's a good range of clients there as far as sizes, but I think they all recognise that having access to this content is very important.
Great. Thank you so much. I mean, as you can see, there's certainly plenty of resources available for you to certainly maximise the benefit that this platform can provide.